Greetings, this is Kale from noblekale.com. I've got here a game for a look back at gaming. It's called IIgs. It might be familiar to quite a lot of you because it was available on a number of platforms as far as I know, and I'm pretty sure that originally it was an arcade game. I've played it on arcade, I've played it on, I think, Atari ST, and 2GS is the one that I'm most familiar with because that's what I had when I was growing up. What it basically encompasses is the idea that there's a square area and you have to claim territory while avoiding enemies. Here we have a joystick configuration screen, which is basically something you have to do when you don't have permanent memory. Nice little title screen. Music's a bit interesting. It actually goes away. I don't think we ever hear that again. So it's a bit funny. This is the menu screen, which consists of 3 options, which is 1 player, 2 player in alternating fashion, just like an arcade machine, and practice. I've never looked at practice, don't really intend to. Alright, so here we go. Okay, so that's basically me claiming this territory, which becomes the shaded areas. Alright. Go, 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 go. I'm going to play around and then I'll have a bit of a chat about it. Run. I think that's it. Maybe. No, so close. That should be it. Onward to level 2. Ow. Oof. Oh, that was a terrible death. That's not something to brag to your children about. Yes, I got caught up in my own web and burnt to death. Ah. Terrible. No, 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 no. Whoops. Whoa. Okay. Anyway, so let's have a bit of a chat about that. I'm actually going to just throw us into a game screen so that I can pause it and then we can have a bit of a chat. Done and paused. Right, okay, so this is basically the game screen. We have a couple of things, play number and a score, life count up here, logo, and then it says this is the required threshold, 65%. This is how much I've claimed, level, and time. We have these 2 enemies over here, which I call sparklers. I have no idea what the official name is. This is what I call the kicks. And this is me down here. I've already claimed this area. And this is the entire playfield. Right, so let's talk about this. Graphically, it's pretty self-contained. It's exactly the same everywhere, and that's mostly due to hardware limitations, but suffice to say that due to those limitations, 2GS game writers were typically very aware of how they had to make things look in order to get the best thing out of best speed and conditioning out of it. And so everything tends to look consistent by virtue of being the fastest way to do it. So overall, that's where that look and feel comes from anyway. This game is interesting to analyze because the pressure in it is self-adjusting. What I mean by that is that, and I talk about pressure a lot, it's that feeling of, I've got to get this done, or, oh, I'm about to die, or something like that. So let's run through a quick little bit of play here. I start off with a blank field. I have to move and start claiming territory, or else I will be destroyed by the sparklers, right? They are coming for me. I have to keep moving when I'm in flight, because if I stop, a little fuse runs down my line and kills me. So, I have to keep moving. I also have to make sure that the kicks doesn't hit my line as I'm traveling through space. So that's already quite a lot of elements that are in play, even just from the basic start. Then there's another thing which is really interesting, is that you start off with the basic screen, and it's got infinite potential, right? I can start over here, or I can do an annex over there, I can try and go halfway down the screen. But slowly but surely, the closer you get to your threshold, the more your options become limited. And as the playfield becomes deformed, because you've got blocks on top of blocks on top of blocks, it actually becomes much more hard, much more difficult to actually navigate, because you actually have to go left, up, left, up, left, up. If it's a staggered sort of step, it's not a smooth thing. You can't just press diagonal left up. You actually have to steer yourself through all of the straight sections, and it becomes an absolute bastard. So that in itself is an additional difficulty. The other thing is, the tighter it becomes, the kicks gets angry. It's a bastard. It becomes much more likely to come through the area in which you are. When it's got the entire playfield to play in, it doesn't care. It tends to sort of drift all over the place, and you can predict it, and you've got room to move. When you get down to sort of 35% remaining, it's a bastard. So you end up with each individual level actually modifies its own pressure setting, varying based upon how much you've claimed, what type of claims you've done. Have you done small, sharp blockiness? Have you done nice, smooth lines? And there's a couple of different things that will influence that. Another thing is, what you've got to realize is, though the threshold is 65%, your score is based on how much you claim. How much you claim all in one hit, as far as I know. And that means that people tend to get really greedy. They want to do it in less cuts. They want to claim more at the same time. They want bonuses, all that kind of stuff. People get greedy. And this game, because being greedy means a longer line, which means that the kicks has more chance of hitting you, and all these other things. Being greedy means that the pressure adjusts to you being greedy, and therefore you get punished for it. You get absolutely punished for it. Watch now. I'm about to try and steal half the real estate of the screen. After this. Okay, let's go. And the kicks is turning towards me. Even then, I only managed 30%. I couldn't do 50%. If I tried to push through, the kicks would have killed me. And that's where it's really funny, is that I have to modify and adjust. And now, because I've had to adjust, I've now got all these steps in here, which will make transit a bit more difficult. And so that's where this game is really good, in that the difficulty ramps up all of a sudden, and then it relaxes as soon as you get to level 2. Then it ramps up all of a sudden and relaxes. So it's got these kind of ramp up, drop back, ramp up, drop back. But each time it drops back, the kicks gets faster. And so each level becomes more difficult. And so you're ramping up and resetting a little, and the player relaxes, even though they're higher than they started. So that's a really great lesson in pressure. So it's just an interesting game from that kind of perspective. Fun level, absolutely. This thing's addictive as hell. I've been trying to record this video for ages, and I've ended up spending 2 hours just playing this damn game. And I was playing it in a place called Mana Bar, which unfortunately shut tonight. And a random person was watching us play and basically said, "What the hell is that? I want to play." He ended up slotting like $15 into the arcade game just to play kicks, because it's a bastard. It lets you be greedy, and it lets you punish yourself for that. You want to play cautiously, and that's what he was doing to start with, and then he got a little bit cocky and a little bit cocky and a little bit cocky, and it's perfect. It manages everything. it'll give you an easy ride if you want an easy ride. But as soon as you say, hey, I think I can do this, it slaps you down. And that's a great reason to play kicks, just to learn that technique. I'm going to play till the end of this game. Will see me fail pretty hideously. My time is actually down. I think that means they'll bring in another spark. I'm not sure. So we'll play that through. We'll see how we go. Now that I've had my big little monologue. Yep. Oh, we're a little bit jerky. Turn left. And now I talk a little bit about strategy. One of the interesting things is the kicks likes to get into smaller spaces. So what you can actually do is sort of set up these little bulwarks, little divisions. I heard someone earlier today, Dr. Curly Tech, on Twitter, telling me that I should be making trees, little branch off sections. And that's kind of what I'm doing here. Making these little cavities that the kicks can kind of fit in, because what it ends up doing is it chooses the section that the kicks, it chooses the smallest division and says this, it chooses the largest area and it says this is where the empty space remains. And if the kicks is not in that area, it destroys it, absolutely wipes it out. One more game. And that's exactly what I mean. One more game, one more game, one more game. It's got that one more game factor. And that's the holy grail for single player games where, you're trying to not so much foster a long extended gameplay, but arcade style games have to have that one more game factor. They just do. Okay, so you'll see I'm setting up a division here. I would love it if the kicks would drop into here. Then I could seal the door shut, but I don't think it's going to. I mean, really. But I can do this. Oh, too greedy. Too greedy. Okay, maybe from up here. This is me being incredibly greedy. Pays off. Okay, how did we do? Just a little bit. Greedy, greedy, greedy. Got it. See, because the extra 2% is the difference between two different games. And that's where the greed comes in. Yeah, we might both be able to get up to level 10, but I got some bonus, and therefore my score is higher. And high score is king when it comes to arcade games. And games that feed from arcade games have mostly the same mentality to them. Alright, anyway, so that was kicks for the Apple 2GS. I almost said Atari 2GS, but it's the Apple 2GS. And this is Noble Kale from noblecale.com, and that was another look back at gaming. See you with the next game.